Co-creation of the curriculum is where students are given a key role in shaping their own education. So I've got pilots running in computer science and all with the current undergrad first year history students taking part in it. And I'm basically just alongside the university evaluating that, whether or not we want to roll that out in the future. It's all about kind of empowering students within their degrees. The other thing is that I've been campaigning against mental health stigma. So I've got the university and the Students' Union to sign the See Me pledge, which, as I said, campaigns against mental health stigma. And next year, or hopefully this year, depending upon when the university can organise it, we'll be organising a joint signing ceremony. We'll get some press in and make people aware that at Strathclyde we take fight against mental health stigma very seriously. The other thing as well is I've been working on student homelessness. So I've drafted a policy on this issue. I've highlighted good practice across the sector, like what other universities do to tackle student homelessness. And this Friday I'll be having a meeting with the head of student enhancement to put this policy in place. The other thing as well is that currently me and my education forum have been working on doing some research around the ideas of setting up a student-run letting agency. This letting agency will highlight affordable housing for students, but it will also allow students to feed back their negative experiences of landlords. So rather than just landlords in the past getting away with mistreating you, not fixing X, Y, and Z, this is a mechanism to kind of publicly make people aware of negative treatment and also more importantly kind of positive treatment from landlords. I'll also next year continue to put pressure on the university with things regarding like timetabling, exam bunching, and assignment bunching, and keeping Wednesday afternoons free. I mean, what a lot of VPEs tend to do is they look at these issues individually. So for me, I've tried to look at them as a collective. So basically the main issue is that the university's timetable doesn't work. So what the idea I'm taking to the university is that we have to alter and edit the academic year, spread it out a bit more, and look at things like that to actually finally kind of solve these issues. The other thing I'm looking at is the student-staff ratio. Just need to wrap up just now. And student access to academic members of staff. So at the moment, the university is moving to open plan offices. This is creating a bit of a problem, so I'm looking into that. Finally, the kind of thing that kind of sums up my campaign is that I feel like student unions should be prepared to take quite principled stances against the university when necessary. And I mean, my support for the lecturer strikes is an example of that. But like the thing that we use, like the phrase that we use, critical friendship, when we can work together, like with the peer support system, it's important to do that as well. But I'll leave you to read my manifesto on Pegasus. That's everything.
Not what's up next, it's not loads of few candidates go through.
And is this mic only intermittent? Okay, we've got a couple of questions submitted for you. Would you plan to change the Christmas period exams after or before?
Yeah, that's, well, at Student Congress, I can't remember how many years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, we found out that I believe it was 70% of students want exams to be before Christmas. What I was talking about a minute ago, about all these kind of issues about exam bunching being related to the timetable, the only way to get exams before Christmas is to edit the shape of the academic year. So we could, and that is my plan. I'll just be clear, I do want that. Like the majority of students want it, I want it. But in order to do so, we would have to change the shape of the academic year, and that's what I'm working on just now with student enhancement services.
Thanks.
Thanks. And one more question is, what would you do about the issue of exam bunching?
Previous statement. The academic year has to be altered in order to change it. I mean, when I had a meeting with the head of student enhancement, they are in agreement that exam bunching has to change. The university recognises the campaign that we ran on exam bunching, but it's actually putting the change in place that's the difficult thing, and that revolves around changing the shape of the academic year.
Thanks, James. There's no more questions. Yeah, let's only do a couple of minutes. I'll take one question from the floor.
It's just want to know if you will ensure the Wednesday afternoon timetabling with the sport.
Yeah.
It was just to say, will you keep promoting that? Because that's something that we struggle with a lot. If your team, like you, obviously you want to play sport, but education is why you're at uni. Why we just want to make sure that you will help.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely be doing that. I mean, at the moment, this how ridiculous this situation is. If you go on the university's timetable system, there's just a massive amount of classes that just blazingly advertise that there's classes on Wednesday afternoon. So what I'm currently doing at the moment is collating all that, and I'm going to present that to the university and say, why is X, Y, and Z class on Wednesday afternoon when you've made this pledge? I mean, I know this pledge has been in place for more than 20 years. Maybe not a formal policy, but they have been saying there'll be no class on Wednesday afternoons for a very long time. And again, it is to do with changing the academic year. If we have classes, exams before Christmas, and we alter other things about the practices we do, and we actually get the university's timetabling system working, then we can actually make sure these things get in place. But I think in the meantime, an aim and shame campaign with regards to lectures that just completely disregard the policy is the thing that's needed.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, James. Okay, now I'd like to welcome down the candidates for VPAD. So that's Claire, Kyle and Alex. Thanks, and by random draw earlier, I think it's going to be Claire, then Kyle, then Alex. So Claire, you've got 3 minutes.
Is this working?
Give it a try, if not, do this one.
Hello? I'm too small to see it anyway. You're going to be the same.
Is that working? Yeah.
Hello? It's not going to be it's wrong. Oh, thanks. Sorry, I'm really small. Just oh, here we go. Hi, my name is Claire Sally and I'm hoping to be your next. Can I take this off? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right. So much easier. My name is Claire Sally and I'm hoping to be your next Vice President of Activities and Development. I'm not going to read through like all my manifesto, I'm just going to expand on some of them because it's all online and you've seen my posters. Oh, everywhere. So one of my things that I'm really interested in is clubs and societies across the university. A lot of clubs and societies are faculty based, but not all faculties have societies. Coming from personal experience, we've set up an English Literature Society this year, and from that my friends actually become a staff guide. So not only does it produce bonds between the faculties, it also increases opportunities elsewhere. So I feel like it's really important that all faculties, this is something that can be done with collaboration with the Vice President of Education. This is something that can be done and it enhances so many clubs and societies to expand a bit more. Like my friend going into staff guide, she'd never heard of it before until the English Society, so it's really, really important. Another thing is collaborations, like Richard just mentioned, to do with clubs and societies, but not only just the clubs and societies, but also to do with the Vice President of Education and Diversity as well. I feel like as a collective, the exec could work a bit more together, and it could be all volunteers are working together, from the photo club to SUDS to one of the sports teams all collaborating together. It could make a really great experience for all at university, and it would promote the union a bit better as well. For example, a lot of people don't know that the photo club could work with sports and stuff like that, so I think it could really be a good chance for everyone to work together in collaboration. So that's something that we'd really strive to do. Alongside that, also the development side of the VPAD role. I've personally attended the Star Skills Awards, and they're brilliant for meeting new employers and stuff like that. They get you to talk one-on-one with people as well. This could be from people from EY, or I can't even remember all the other people that came from. But they've been so good. What I would like to do is expand that a bit more, because not many people know about it just now. So what I'm going to do, if elected, is enhance that campus-wide and make sure that everyone can get the opportunity to be involved. But it can still be based in the union, but it's just so that everybody knows about it. This could also link to more employment fairs, which is on our manifesto as well. As a fourth-year student, not only just as a fourth-year student, but throughout the whole time at university, it is really hard to get jobs. part-time internships, and me personally looking for like a grad job and stuff like that, it's really difficult to find. And I would just like to try and give people a bit more insight into what it's like. So I would quite like to just have more opportunities with employers. Anyway, have more opportunities with employers, because it is really important to get that one-to-one basis with them. Sorry. Yeah, so employment fairs is something I'm really interested in. But most of all, this is something I'm really passionate about, and I really hope everyone can just see it. If you do think that I am the best for this job, then please put number 1 next to my name. It's something I'm really, really passionate about, and I think I would do the best for the students, so please just vote for me if you feel it's right. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Claire. Got any questions? Okay, next is Kyle Henry.
You might be able to reach it this time. Just kidding. Too small.
Hello? Yeah, is this working? Debate chamber, make some noise! 2013, last year. Strathclyde wins University of the Year. Strathclyde wins Entrepreneurial University of the Year. But where is Students' Union of the Year?
Wait, next one for me.
I'm Kyle Henry, and this mic isn't working. And I'm running for VPAD because I believe that students Strathclyde deserve a better student union. So what have I done at Strathclyde? I'll just speak. I've led a team of RAG, which is the Charity Society, to raise over £20,000. Been a class rep, currently on the club's exec. I've went down to London and represented Strathclyde at the Enactus National Competition. I've been in multiple shows in Vertigo and at the Arts Fest with React. So when it comes to club societies, no one has more diverse knowledge than me. So why vote for me? I have clear strategies and solutions to make the union realise its potential. But what are they, some of you ask? To unite the international students and home students, to ensure art societies are supported and given a platform to represent Strathclyde, and to involve clubs and societies in collaboration, which I'll speak about in a bit. So first of all, international students, what am I talking about? I've been to a lot of international events. Pub culture is great. Some of the issues they've had is they come over here and they feel like hard to integrate, so the Spanish people say with the Spanish society, French. That's not a bad thing, but what I want to do is to get everyone together, and how I do this is have a Scottish Culture Week. This would show international students how good Scotland is, and would allow home students to say, oh yeah, I'm from Scotland, I'll join that. So what could you have? You've got haggis, you could do this at Burns Night, Robbie Burns, poetry readings. Glasgow's a great place for music, gigs, stand-up comedy. You can even have Rock Up Sports Club Shinty. There's plenty other potentials to do. So what about the arts-based societies? What am I talking about? I was lucky enough to be part of the Arts Society at the Arts Fest last year, and it was great, but some societies in the arts, yeah, outdoor shows don't always work. It's only once a year, so what about the other 364 days? Ideally, I would love to use the Ramshorn Theatre. I've looked into it. Strathclyde have tried to sell it several times, not done it. It's not 3 minutes. False. I'm blaming this on my mic. So I'll quickly wrap up. My strategies are innovative and would make volunteering even better and more enjoyable for students. They're actually achievable in a year as well, and the foundations laid over by Josh Hong this year would definitely continue. So as your VPAD, I'm more than prepared to roll up my sleeves to get stuck into whatever needs to be done and to achieve my objectives. Nothing is more passionate to me than this union, even Inverness CT. I love this place, and I feel capable that I can give students an exceptional experience from this union. Vote Kyle, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. And now Alex C. Dean.
Did I even bother with the microphone?
Hello?
There we go.
Oh, no.
Hi guys, my name's Alec and I'm running to be your Vice President of Activities and Development. I've been quite involved with the union. I've been involved in a variety of activities. I've started out 2 clubs. I'm a sports union and deck member. I've worked behind the bar. I know what goes on in the union. No one's really, there are few people here more than me. I'll just talk you through 2 points of my manifesto. The pie approach, promoting external engagement opportunity to the union. You guys all heard of the Commonwealth Games, right? It's very well advertised, but there are sectoral opportunities you can write through the union to offer volunteers more community involvement. E is for enhancing, I for improvement between academics and society. And first year I've joined up the R2 club, and I've met my first year lecturer there. Because of him, I've actually gotten to know him a bit more. He's given me some tips and tricks on my field, and I think it's great having the leader of your field actually in your club, being there, helping you out. Last year we took the R2 club out to a 3D shoot, which they've never done before. And it's mutually beneficial for both academic and club. E is for enhancing employability. Because as students, I think we need all the support we can get. Getting a degree just isn't good enough anymore. You need experience to back that up. And I think volunteering is a great way to get that experience. Third concept social workshop going on, hosted by Josh here. As Claire said, I want to make it campus-wide next year. To invite all students to have that opportunity to learn the basic skills they need in the real world. And at the end of it, I want to have them an opportunity to put those skills into practice. So I was thinking of a career fair where each company can be invited, offer a paid undergraduate placement, and a bit more focus on social sciences. They don't get enough love today. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Got a few questions. What we'll do is just rotate the order. And just there's no time to just try and be as brief as you can and don't take the mic.
I think the mic's broken.
Okay, so the first question is, what is the most important thing in the role of Vice President Activities and Development? So, Carl, would you like to go first for this one?
Yes. And then just go over there, stand up. I'll just go. Camera. So the question was, what is the most important thing the Vice President of Activities Development encounters? I would say there's 3. To recruit, to retain, and to reward volunteers. So, first off, get mainly first years, they're the future of the union. So many of them have been in lectures like, what is the union, what is the club society, what, who are you, what are you running? Retain, again, through the events I put on, just out and about campus, they'd be like, yeah, I like this place, really good, this is what it gives me. And reward, you've got star skills. Some of the things I didn't unfortunately get to talk about was I would love to do like monthly wee cheesy fun awards, club GMs, maybe they could be implemented into the other forums as well. Thank you.
Now, Alex.
Right, like Carl said, the most important thing at VPAD is the volunteer. That means enhancing the presence of club and society that track life. Like I said before, by improving the link between academics and society, you actually integrate those societies into the university. You encourage more collaboration between student and society. If your lecturer said, I'm part of the knitting society, you'd be more inclined to join it. So, actually that's all I have on that.
Most important thing in the role, yeah.
Most important thing in the role is to be approachable. I feel like I'm quite an approachable vice president of Activities and Development, the vice president has to be a very approachable person. This would mean that any problems that are going on within clubs and societies, they feel comfortable coming to you. This could be people that have just started joining the union or people that have been in the union for years. This would be really important, and to make yourself known campus-wide, you have to be approachable. So I feel like this is something, a quality that I do have as well, but also this is one of the most important things for VPAD. It is all about the volunteers. Whatever the volunteer needs, you have to accommodate them. So being approachable and accommodating is something that I feel like VPAD should really be doing. Yes.
Okay, next question. What do you think the greatest benefit of the STAR Skills programme is, and how will you improve it for next year? So it's time to start with Alex.
The greatest benefit of the STAR Skills program.
And how will you improve it?
The greatest benefit of the STAR Skills program is puts you into touch with all the employers that we actually meet at the STAR Skills program, like EY, and you also learn all those important skills. I mean, last year I didn't know much about LinkedIn. This year I'm actually much more fluent in, and I know how to use that. I've already been getting offers through LinkedIn. So I think that's the most important, that's the best benefit you can get through the STAR Skills program, and to improve on it next year would be allowing you to put those skills into practice. Because at the moment, once you finish the STAR Skills program, you get a certificate next week, but it doesn't really allow you to get into touch with the employers at the end. And I think that's a change.
Claire?
Do you like a yo-yo? Yeah, I've been to the STAR Skills session, so I know what they're all about, and the thing that's I've taken from it is it's all about your strengths. One workshop we did was, I think it was the very, very first workshop, and it's always stuck in my mind. We got giving out strength cards, and they were different colours, and some are red, some are blue, some are green. But from that, you got to see which field you're more comfortable in. I got all red, which was like the chatty stuff. But like I think that's really good because it then gives you like a strength and like the way what you can work forward to, like on your CV, like that can say like, oh, like I found out my strengths are this is my strengths, blah blah blah. Everyone's going to be different. Like some people probably got more green cards, which is like organisational and math sort of thing, but that's like everyone's totally different. But I feel like finding out your own strengths is something really beneficial from the STAR Skills Award, because then it leads to so much more for your CV, and even in interviews it gives you more confidence because you know what your skills are from these awards. And to improve that next year, well, I would still continue to do that as well, but I think it would just to get more interactive sessions as well, because a lot of the time it is interactive, but like I know some of you might not have been, but sometimes some of the people that come in just kind of talk to you and say how to like do things, but I feel like it could be a bit more interactive, but it is really good, and you do gain lots of skills from it.
I think the best thing about STAR Skills is a lot of the people that volunteer come from primarily Haas and other faculties, whereas the STAR Skills, for me when I went, seems to be more business, which is a crossover that maybe doesn't always happen. So the volunteers learn business skills. What this could be done is it could go the other way the next year and say, oh, we're doing all these business skills, come join our clubs and societies. I know it was a test run project and we've done 5 and we're doing one end of next month. It's hard to say at this time because we've only done it for the students that have been in this union. It would be good to see how it would be rolled out to each faculty, each student that's just off the street. But again, the wider promotion you do, the more people you're going to hit with it. I think that's the biggest benefit.
Thanks, Carl. Now, someone was wondering if it's possible to make all clubs free. They say they've attended many meetings with different clubs and have to pay for them all. So, Claire, would you like to start that one?
It may be possible to make all clubs free at some point in the future, but I feel like the membership fees are there for a reason. It's to start your club and society off. It's to get them up and running for events that they're going to put on to recruit more members, and like such as like you get grants and stuff like that if you apply for them, but you don't always get them. You need your own funds. You need to provide for yourself as well, because you are a student-led society, and that's the most important thing. If people are wanting it for free, they can, yeah, like I get where they're coming from and stuff like that, but I think it's just £1 to start a club and society per person. So you only need 10 members. It's £10 to start a club. That gets you going for the rest of the year. You can do fundraising events and stuff like that. It pays for your juice and crisps reunion and stuff like that, and it gets more members in. So yeah, that's it.
So the question was, should all club societies be free?
Yeah.
I would disagree with that. Certain groups are set up to be free. Some are set up not to be free. Some of the media groups would probably be set up to be free in the longer term. But again, like Claire says, funding's an issue. It's only £1, but I know I've been in part of some societies that charge £5. Students are cheap, and they don't have that much money. Not every student gets SAS, so I'm sure SAS, so they would rather spend on like housing. But I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. Like each society does different things. Again, more societies, it means raising money. Then do you have members? It's kind of a decision in the roads that clubs make. But £1 isn't that much. But some clubs do have a lot, like £5, £10, which does put people off. So that should be addressed.
Right, I'm going to have to disagree with that question. Not all clubs should be free. Some clubs should be free because they're protected, like the LGBT, but they're not protected anymore this year, which is a real shame. Because protected clubs in other universities, they have a right to be there. They need help. But when it comes to starting up a society, one of the main things about being in a society and a committee is learning how to handle the money, and having membership fees allows you to have financial freedom. If you just go and apply for everything to the union, you're going to get denied or approved. But if you have your own money, you can buy your own thing, do whatever you want with them within reason. And that's why I think not all clubs should be free.
Now, would you guys organise more events with free pizza?
Do we have to go up for that?
Kyle, this time. This is something we're recording.
Who doesn't love free pizza? I would like to see just more events in general as well. Events, pizza could be a great way to get in there, but some events are like, why am I getting pizza from doing something that's not, like, if you're doing sports or something, why would you have pizza before a workout, you know what I mean? But I think more events in general.
While I would like there to be more events with free pizza, I have a better idea. Why don't we have a pizza making workshop? That way people can learn about it themselves.
Yeah, the whole free pizza is good, but that, like, if that's the only reason people are coming to your club and society, you need to be promoting your club and society a little bit better. You need to be recruiting members elsewhere rather than just free pizza. You want someone to join your club and society because they want to, not just because you're giving them free stuff. So that's, I think, yeah, that's that.
And final question. What would you do to ensure all clubs and societies feel involved and collaborate with one another? And Alex, your first time.
What was the question again?
What would you do to ensure all clubs and societies feel involved and collaborate with one another?
One of the main points that I actually want to implement is the looking for club direction. I believe with club can collaborate with each other to actually achieve something greater. Someone from the Photo Society can work with the Telegraph, and then they can go on and achieve their goals. Say someone wants to be an artist or photographer. They can work with the Telegraph, cover the event, build up their portfolio, and have that on their TV, which makes it a lot easier for them to actually get a job in that field.
Can you just say the question again, sorry?
Yeah. What would you do to ensure all clubs and societies feel involved and collaborate with one another?
this is part of my manifesto, and I don't actually, my speech is a bit of a blur. I can't actually remember if I said this or not. What I would really like to do is showcase events. That doesn't mean that it has to be like a big thing. It just can be about campus, like doesn't have to be like all together. Like if groups and societies want to go out onto campus and show people what they can do, they can feel free to do that sort of thing. This like it is collaboration is something I'm really passionate about, because I feel like it can benefit all students, not just volunteers, students across the university. Everyone can come together and everyone can collaborate, and if they're shown collaborations can happen, they will want to get involved. So that's why I think like it is important for everyone to be involved in the union, and collaborations can happen. And to get everyone involved, you have to show them what the union is all about, because some people aren't bothered. If they're not shown, they're not going to turn up. So if they're not shown what can be done, I feel that yeah.
To get more people involved, I'm taking that as mainly first year, so I'm going to address this as is people who don't volunteer. How would you get them involved? Again, if they see the exec out and about, not just a faceless name behind a seat, then they're going to approach them and say, oh hi, do you know what's happening? I'll be like, oh yeah, there's something on, next society, blah blah society, they're going on level 10, level 8. I would say be one way to get people more involved. Collaboration seems to crop up a lot, but I'd like to say that collaboration has happened, it's happened very well. I know personally from rag and skydiving, and last year the Photo Club, the Telegraph and the Sports won an award for the coverage of the Glasgow Taxi Cup. One of the points I didn't get to make because the bell went unfortunately was GMs as well as the funny awards and stuff. At the moment as a member of Clubs Exec, I'm sure if you've attended the meetings, it seems a bit dry, you're just reading off a sheet. We could easily email you, so how do you feel involved? I would love to use that GM type setting to get clubs to say, oh, we're doing this in the next month, could anyone help out? Possibly you might not know who to contact, so someone there, and by increasing the attendance there, someone might chip up and say, oh yeah, we can help you with that. Also, what happened last year, Shauna will know this, because Shauna set up the Clubs and Societies night out, but some things people have said to me that didn't work, which wasn't fault of Shauna's, is it was just clubs, Club X was there, Club Y was there. What I'd love to do after the GM was like mix everyone about, so everyone from different societies gets to meet everyone else, and then they generally feel part of Strathclyde as a Strathclyde Union student, and not just a student that does RAG or a student that does this.
Okay, thanks guys. Yep, now the candidates for Vice President Diversity and Advocacy, that's Sarah and Rosa. This might have been on that came in. There are these little sheets lying around. If you put your questions on them and bring them down to us at the front.
How are you going to rectify this situation?
Can you put that microphone on the stand?
Now the candidates for the Vice President of Diversity and Advocacy, starting with Sarah Heck. Thanks, Sarah, 3 minutes.
This might actually work. I'm a bit scared to touch it.
Intermittently.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Sarah and I'm running for Vice President of Diversity and Advocacy. Like everyone else, I'm just going to run through a couple of points and expand on them. The first point that I have is representation. And under that come 2 categories. So the first one is getting training and support for liberation officers. What I mean by this is, or what I'm trying to do with this is, liberation officers have a dual responsibility. They both run a society and they are representatives of the group. So if you have an LGBT officer, what tends to happen in the LGBT society is, if there's a first year who's maybe a bit scared of coming out, wants to meet other people, they tend to go to LGBT before they go to the Advice Hub or anyone else. And so for LGBT people who are a bit older and are out and everything like that, we tend to not have the skills to give them the support that they need to talk to their families, things like that. So that's part of the training. The other part of the training is being able to run effective societies, because liberation groups are a lot smaller, usually. And, you know, we have loads of members in LGBT, we have loads of members in women's, but they don't take on leadership roles. And you need to galvanise them, you need to give them better support to be able to take on those leadership roles and run a society, run campaigns, and run better events. The other representative thing that I have is implementing safe spaces for learning in the university. This is all very buzzwordy. Safe space basically means that you're free from discrimination and harassment. So the union is a safe space. I'm basically repeating my video. Yeah, so the union is a safe space. But within academic settings or within event settings, basically that extends. So what it means is at the start of whatever you're going to say, you say, I'm going to talk about rape, or this book contains a rape scene, something like that. And that allows people who have experienced that or are particularly uncomfortable with that subject to say to themselves, especially, okay, I know that this is coming up, or I can prepare myself, or I can step out. So the lecturer, the tutor should say, if you're feeling a bit nervous or whatever, just step outside, take a breather. Don't force yourself to sit through it and then get really, really worked up and upset, because that's not good for your health, that's not good for participating in the class. It also means that the lecturer or the tutor should be pointing towards the advice hub and student counselling. They should be saying that the union is a third-party reporting centre, because a lot of people don't know that. And it basically means that people who have had traumatic pasts are going to have a better university experience. And it also would mean that if a student comes to the lecturer and says, like, this is something that's happened to me, I know it's going to come up in the class, can I do this? Then they can do that. Also, just because I have to wrap up, I'm also one of the ones that's going on about collaboration. I want to see the liberation groups especially working with everyone else, because they have quite a low profile just now, and they need to have better, more fun events going on, better campaigns. I want to see them working with sports societies, working with sports societies, not shouting at sports societies. So yeah, that's me. Vote for me, please.
Thanks, Sarah. Now, Rosa Sally.
I can hear it going on and off as I was speaking.
Computer says no.
Sorry, Rosa.
Do I have to speak without mine?
You're fine just talking normally.
Alright, okay.
3 minutes.
Okay. I feel kind of weird. Okay, that's fine. So I'm Rhoda Sally. I'm really standing for Vice President Diversity and Advocacy in the Student Union. I work really closely with our liberation groups and representation groups, with our LGBT group and our women's group. We're in a great campaign for women breaking the silence surrounding sexual harassment and sexual violence towards women. And through that also we increase a lot of the advice in the Advice Hub. Statistically it has increased, more people knows about the Advice Hub and our support services. And we run diverse events such as Black History Month. I also collaborated with Vice President of Wellbeing, with mental health awareness, risk. Also we have, for the first time in history in all of Scotland, if you look at Black and minority ethnic platform for this group, and they are significantly underrepresented. And last year, if you came here, there wasn't any BME representation groups in the student union, and we have that. My main objective for the year I've worked on, it's been really hard to work on this, widening access for asylum seekers to come to university, because they are minorities and they don't have the financial support as everyone else to go to education. And I've collaborated with James Byrne also on the library fines. And this year, if I'm elected, I will work on freezing international student fees. I think they are paying a lot of money for coming to education, and they don't really know how much they're paying year by year. And also I want to increase the number and raise the profile of all our liberation groups and creating a solidarity between all of them, working together, all of them, and campaigning together for changing that, for positive change. And I can also, more people will know about that campaign if there is like a collaboration within them. They have done so this year, but I think next year can go forward. And also I'm planning to create a program for our international students and Scottish students, I think it was mentioned earlier on, for them to integrate with each other and have like sharing that language, because we all like to go to abroad and learn that language. The international students, they come here, why should we not benefit from it? And I will bring that next year, and I hope you vote for me in this election, Rosa Sali. And of course, I think the main students' problem at the moment is housing, because I've talked to students, and next year I will improve the quality and the quantity of our student housing. I hope you vote for me. The time is up. You can read my full manifesto on my Facebook link, because I could write more than 200 words. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rosa. I've got a few questions for you. Just alternate who goes first, make it fair. So what have you done in terms of support and services for students, and what will you do if elected? So Rose, if you want to start?
Okay,
we're filming still.
I know everyone in the house.
If you stand up, we're filming
It's
up
so
there.
Okay. So as I said, that we've increased in our advice hub, and the support and services also, it's not just the advice hub, it's also our nightline as well. And nightline is a confidential, you can call them anytime. And also this year I promoted like having a PR team. We have a PR team that promotes Nightline to more students, and they have done so. And next year I think it can build up on that. And basically our support service, more people knows about the advice hub now. I go to talk to students, they know it's in level 5. So that's great, that we want to improve that next year.
Thanks.
Hello. Okay, so I've been involved with the union for about 3 years, and in that time I've been in loads of societies, but the main ones have been LGBT and Women's Action Network is the full title. So yeah, as Women's Officer, I basically got the society back up and running last year, which was really great fun. As LGBT campaigner and then secretary, well, campaign, my favourite, equal marriage. At the same time I'm a strap guide, which is obviously going into the schools and talking to pupils, and I've got, yeah. A lot of the stuff that you do as LGBT and as women's is it's more interpersonal, it's more individual levels. So I don't want to say individual cases because it's private really, but yeah, there have been a lot of students that I've helped individually, and I would love to do it on a much wider scale.
Okay. Now, how were each of the candidates involved with gender-neutral toilets? Sarah, if you want to go first this time?
Gender-neutral toilets is something that the LGBT Society have been working on for about, 2 years? 2 years? Yeah. So yeah, I was involved in the first campaign. I was campaigns officer at the time, and it wasn't so much a wide kind of, hey everyone, this is what, does anyone not know what a gender-neutral toilet is? Hello. Cool. Gender-neutral toilet basically means that it's not male or female, so anyone can use it. Unisex toilet is another phrase for it, I guess. Obviously, what we would want is for there to also be gender toilets, so that if you don't feel comfortable with gender neutral, you use the gender toilet. That's the reason for gender neutral toilets is for trans students mainly. Now, trans students may feel very uncomfortable going into female toilets or into male toilets because the one that they'd be expected to use isn't the gender that they identify with, or they are gender neutral themselves, they identify as gender neutral. So if they go into one toilet, they might get beaten up. If they go into another toilet, they might get ridiculed. I'm not saying that would happen, but it's a fear that they have. So what we were working on was trying to get gender neutral toilets in the Students' Union. So yeah, 2 years ago LGBT started up. We were talking to individual staff members, trying to say this is what it is, because a lot of people don't know about it. That's why I had that big rerun. And then it went to trustee board, and it got passed. And it will be happening after summer. But yeah, it was very much the LGBT society pushing for it and pushing for it and pushing for it. That's how I was involved in gender neutral toilets. Okay, so basically I passed in our forum the gender neutral toilet because it came from our LGBT group, and then I passed it on to our trustee board, and it was passed on, and in the summer we're going to have a gender neutral toilet in our union. And also on our committee meeting with the university, I've talked to them to have gender neutral toilets in the buildings or in the university, but of course not all of them are going to be changed because there's some time for religious people, they're not comfortable with that. So there will be other toilets, but some people who are from LGBT group can use that. So that will be continued next year.
That's great. Okay. How would you encourage, what would you do to encourage more women to run in the elections? So, Rosa, you go first.
So this year we have 3 women that is running. From sports, there's 1 woman running, and from activities and development, there's another woman. So it has increased, and of course Sarah and me are also. But it has increased in numbers. I mean, 3 other people beside me, of course. So of course there's been an increase because last year there was only 2 women was running. So it has increased in number, and I hope next year it will increase, and we will encourage that more and more. So it's it looks really good, and it's very successful that there's more women running this year. For encouraging women candidates, and that would involve mostly working with the Women's Action Network, whoever the next committee is. Mostly, what I'm wanting to do this semester, whether elected or not, is I want to run focus groups with clubs and societies to find out what their barriers to participation in the Students' Union are. Women in clubs and societies, I should specify that. This year it's really exciting because every position, apart from the uncontested one, James, does have a woman running for it. Zara, hello. Yeah, I was saying that to other people that I was dead excited about it. I suppose that people who run for election tend to be volunteers anyway. So it would come down to talking to the people who are volunteers, finding out if there are any barriers to running in elections, and then working to dismantle those barriers.
Okay, now what will you do, stroke have you done for LGBT at Strathclyde? Sarah?
Again, involved with the LGBT Society for 2 years, or yeah, it'll be 3 years at the end of this one. So yeah, I was campaigns officer, or campaigns coordinator for the LGBT Society in my first 2 years. Equal marriage is my favourite thing that I've worked on. We got petitions together. We got people going to pride marches. I went to a pride march and I was dressed up in the bridesmaid's dress that I wore to my brother's wedding. And I had a sign that said, always the bridesmaids on one side and never the bride on the other side. It was a lot of fun. That passed, by the way, on the 4th of February. What else have I done? Well, the gender neutral toilets is something that I'm really excited about. And this year has been a bit of a downer because being 4th year students, like the entire committee is made up of 4th year students. We've really struggled to be active this year. But for LGBT History Month, we ran film nights, which I think a few of you in the room actually went to, and that was really exciting for us. I could put together a pack of LGBT media, which is now on the Strath Students website. That was compiled with the society, getting them to list their favourite media or people who are LGBT, things with LGBT themes. And we did the activity for Get Involved Week, which was a lot of fun as well. and that was about LGBT activism in the 20th century, getting people to understand the vast amounts of change that we've enacted in the past century. Yeah, and getting to realise just how far we've come, that was a lot of fun. There you go. So for LGBT group, we've also have passed the gender neutral toilets in the union, and also on the committees, I've said that to pass a policy on that. And also with the Amnesty International, we've shown Call Me Kuchu, a movie night for the LGBT awareness that in Uganda is legalized officially, and the campaigning around that for our LGBT group. Basically, that sums it up, I think.
Now, kind of the opposite of that, how are you connecting, supporting with non-LGBT societies?
Awesome.
So, Rose, if you look at that.
So what's the question?
How are you connecting, supporting with non-LGBT societies?
Strong.
How are you connecting with supporting societies that are not LGBT?
Okay.
The
Yeah.
other
Okay.
organisations?
Okay, that's a great question. So with our, how do we connect them with the LGBT, with the sports?
No, how do you connect with non-LGBT societies, so the other liberation groups not LGBT?
Okay, how they work. So all our, basically all our liberation groups, we try to make them all work together, and I'm actually planning to do that next year to bring more collaborative, as I said in my manifesto, to bring them more together, to work together, all our liberation group, and achieving the main goals, as I said. So people will connect with the LGBT group, and they can talk to each other and understand each other from both aspects. So connecting with non-LGBT societies, that's actually really good because it has been quite LGBT dominated. For me personally, I'm going to switch it, bring it back to one of my manifesto points. One of my manifesto points is getting clubs and societies, and especially the representative groups, sorry I'm kind of twisting this, to work with the sports societies. A lot of the time in other unions, when you try and get sports societies involved, especially with liberation groups, it tends to be you're not doing this right, you're homophobic, sexist, blah, 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 blah. That's not enough, really. What you want is to get them involved and get them to work with the representative groups to say, you know, we can do this. And sports can be such a great way of raising social issues. I mean, you look at the Paralympics, when the government were bringing about all these disability discrimination things. You look at, you know, the Olympics and the Winter Olympics, again, LGBT, sorry. So yeah, like working with sports is one of my main objectives, really. I've been chatting to James about the Queer Games, which is one of NUS Scotland's objectives for the Commonwealth Games, which will be getting sports societies and other things to all work together and raise the issues that are happening in the Commonwealth. So yeah, working with sports societies, that's what I want to do.
Now, a question, I don't know whether this is tongue-in-cheek or not, but it seems that all your policies are aimed at only helping students in minorities. How are your policies taking into account the needs of majorities as well as minorities?
This me first.
Yep.
That's an interesting one. I suppose part of my answer is really that the role is diversity and advocacy. The role is improving the diversity of the Students' Union, and what you do to achieve that is work with the minorities. So that's why a lot of our policies will be looking at minority groups, because it's them that we have to work with to achieve the objectives of the role. However, the advocacy side of it is also, that looks at the majority. And I suppose what my safe spaces thing is really, that is a majority policy. That is wanting to change things for people who maybe don't speak up. I mean, you know, people with traumatised past are still probably a minority group, but you So it is something that has to affect everyone in the university. I don't know, that is a bit tongue-in-cheek, isn't it? Because the role is diversity advocacy, so of course we're going to be focusing on the minority groups that we have to represent to the exec. That's why the role exists. So I know that we represent like black and minority and disabled students and women's group and LGBT, but also we represent mature students and international students. I think all together it's actually not minority, it's majority if you bring that all together. So I know that part of this role is not just liberation groups, it's other things as well. Like you need to bring more like international students into this as well, because I feel like they are underrepresented in a way as well. But there are more, their international students are a lot of majority of our institution and their numbers. And in this role, of course, there's advocacy as well. As I've said in my manifesto, I'll work on the quality and the quantity of our housing. I think that's a major issue for our students as well. And if you vote for me, I can continue on doing that.
And my final question, how you can promote advocacy and diversity across the board in order to integrate minorities with the wider student community? How are you going to promote advocacy and diversity across the board in order to integrate minorities with the wider student community?
Okay.
You first.
So how should we integrate them? I think is raising their profile, and going out there and talking to students. And also when students are coming in orientations, and when students are coming, we can talk to them about the liberation groups, about our societies, international society, our mature student, where it is in Livingston Tower. I think that raising awareness and communication is very important when students are coming into the university, and when the first time they see is the union and is you as a VP for diversity and advocacy. Okay, here's that word again, collaboration. I was saying, I went onto the Dance Society's Facebook page and I was saying that one of the great things is 1 Billion Rising in the women's movement, which is on Valentine's Day every year, and it is a dance movement. It's a big international dance movement to raise awareness of violence against women and girls, and that's a way that you can get SUDS and the women's group working together if you put on an event for that. So yeah, like getting them to collaborate with everyone else, that would be a great way of raising their profile, because a lot of students volunteer for the other clubs and societies that we have at the Students' Union, and a lot of them, they tend not to know about the liberation groups, or you know, they just don't want to particularly put themselves out there, get involved with them. So this would be a great way of sort of sneakily getting them involved. Another thing that is kind of an idea that I've had for a while, but you know, you have regular club nights, or like event club nights. Why isn't one of those event club nights a liberation club night? There's a thing called Love Music, Hate Homophobia, and I think we did one of them a few years back, which was Love Music, Love Liberation, Hate Oppression, or something like that. So yeah, something like that would be really great, because it would get, you know, a fun night, a really celebratory night to raise the profile of the liberation groups and other representative groups as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Now, candidates for the Vice President of Sport and Wellbeing. Thank you. And James, you're going first. Okay. So you've got 3 minutes.
Cool. Okay, thanks Rob. So first of all, for those of you that don't know me, my name is James Reid. I'm currently your Vice President of Sport and Wellbeing, and I'm running for re-election. This is the first time this has ever happened in association that the Sport and Wellbeing role has been ran for a re-election. And I think the second year does provide continuity that can allow us to achieve big things in 2014, 2015. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about what we've done this year and why I think I can build on it. First of all, with regards to the wellbeing side of things, Our men's football team this year developed a partnership with the group, the charity Breathing Space, mainly to raise awareness of mental health issues on campus and break down the stigma of mental health in sport. And that's the first time out of any university sports team that's really happened. They've had an ongoing link, an ongoing partnership. I've met the directors of Breathing Space myself. They're delighted with how things have been at the end of the first year, and they're looking to flesh it out across more sports teams. That's something I'm really looking to do with the Wellbeing role, and I think people do sometimes say that the Wellbeing and the sports role do work separately, but this was an ideal moment of synchronicity between the two. I'd like to continue the work on stress awareness. Obviously, we did a stress survey 2 years ago, and the most commonly found issue affecting students was stress around assignments and exam time. So I'd like to continue the work we did with the exam boot camp, help keep giving out free fruit and water, keep just kind of making sure that we're promoting the support services that are there in the advice hub and within the university counselling as well. Moving on with physical well-being as well, that's something that's never really been addressed in the well-being role, but also looking into the opportunity to put on self-defence workshops, Krav Maga, basic sort of street self-defence stuff that does look at the physical well-being stuff as well. Now we'll move on to sports. So this year in the sports union there's been a great success. Our sports union memberships continue to rise. We've broken 2,100 members. For the first time we've broken 2,000 members. This was in a year where people were suggesting it would remain stagnant after a huge year of growth last year. Our performance on the park has improved as well. Strathclyde have moved 100 bucks points clear of Harriet Watt, who exactly a year ago we were actually behind. So now we are pretty much uncatchable. We're closing the gap in on Dundee, moving up in the Scottish Bucks rankings. Recreational sports also seen an increase. Rock Up Sports Club brought in more participants. We changed it up a bit, spread it across 2 semesters, and also brought in a disability inclusive session for the first time. And it's all gone down really well, raising awareness of many different issues and getting people active. Some of the key goals coming out of Rock Up Sports Club. This was all with a nearly entirely new set of staff in the sports union this year. If re-elected, I reckon we can carry this momentum forward, especially allowing me to work with captains and committee members over the summer period. This is to make sure that they can work and see how the sports union will suit their needs during year 2. I feel that my experience after year 1 will allow for an increased focus on club development and team performance, so we can grow as a sports union and install an even greater presence on campus and reduce the gap on Dundee, who are above us. Re-election also provides long-term benefits for the sports union with regards to the new sport and health facility. It's a critical moment with budgets up for review, and I feel that I've got a strong working relationship with the university to ensure that the needs are met, providing a quality, future-proof facility for all of our students. We've seen a bigger presence on campus with this Freshers Week, and that's something I want to continue by promoting BUPS and Triple S events. And also finally funding. We increased by £8,500 this year in the sports union being filtered down to our teams. I want to continue to commercialise the sports union, make student sport more affordable. Finally, I believe we can build on the success of this year, and with the vote of you and your friends and your colleagues, please, we can continue to further grow sport and well-being at this university. I'm passionate about it, and I'd love the opportunity to improve the sporting experience for everyone here at Strathclyde. Thank you.
And I'm currently a 4th year psychology student here at Strathclyde, and I'm currently club captain for Strathclyde Equestrian Club. I've been a part of the Equestrian Club for 4 years now, and my first year I did a bit recreationally to start with, then I was on the first team, then I was first team's captain in my 2nd year, and my 3rd year I was club captain, and I'm still currently club captain just now in my 4th year. Throughout my time of doing this, I managed to increase us from having 1 competitive team in Bucks to having 3 competitive team in Bucks, with one of them moving on to regional rounds along with 2 other individuals, and this is something that we've never achieved before at Strathclyde Equestrian. I'm also on the sports exec and the governance officer this year, and I believe that through doing these roles and with the sports union that I've gained a deeper knowledge and understanding of what goes on at the sports union and how things are run, and working alongside everyone else in the exec has taught me what would be required of the VPSW. My manifesto's online, so I don't want to go through the whole thing with you because there's not enough time. So I just want to go through a couple of key points. One of the things I was looking to do was maximise the current use of our sports facilities that we have just now. And I think allowing the maximisation of the training would increase overall sports performance for all clubs when they're out competing. I also want to improve sport, not just for the big clubs, but also for the small ones as well. And I also want to voice all the ideas for the new sports centre for everybody. Another thing I want to do is try and promote the recreational as well as competitive side of sports. I feel like this is a way that we'll be able to boost a lot of membership. And I think way to do this is through more RUSC and more promotional events alongside the wellbeing and benefits side of that as well. I feel like if we started promoting that more people would be attracted to come and join in the sports. I know for a fact being a student at uni can be stressful, so if you imagine doing that, being in a sports club and also potentially running a committee, it can be really stressful. So promoting wellbeing and health is something that's really big and needs to be dealt with. One of the main issues we have faced in sport last year, or this year even, is with our kit. There's a lot of issues with clubs not receiving it in time, not getting the right things. And something I'd like to do next year would be just to build good communications and links with the company that we're with that deal with our kit. And it's sorting things out with them before the students come back and want to order stuff. So I think maybe saying to the clubs, having a deal, with the supplier and saying to them, if you're not meeting the deadlines and you're not meeting the things that you say you'll do, you'll have to give us some form of compensation back. Because there were so many moans from student about it this year, I'd really like it to be faced for next year, because it's something that happened to me as well, and I found it really frustrating, so I can only imagine how other clubs were feeling with that. So yeah, I think it's really important to continue with the successes sports unions had this year, but into next year I feel like I can continue with the successes because I know what's going on by being in the sports exec, but I can also put a new fresh perspective on everything that's been done this year, so to improve on it for next year. So if you guys are looking for some good change for the sports union, then please vote for me as VPSW. Thank you.
Thank you. And got a few questions. Seem to have a lot of financially related ones. Do you think the cost of sports at Strathclyde is much higher than at other universities? Sports union membership, club membership, playing weekly through CSR, it does make sport inaccessible to lots of students. What can you do about it? So, Maddie, if you want to go first for this one?
I think sports is something that's always really expensive. And with regards to across the other unis, I'm not sure exactly how much other people pay, but I know from people at Glasgow and Edinburgh Uni, etc., their fees for their sports union are actually quite a bit higher. And I know some of the clubs pay at the start of the year at other universities to their club. So say to join, like I'm in the Christian club and we don't pay anything to join the club at the start of the year, just their sports union membership, which gets us access to all the clubs. But I know other clubs pay in, say, £30 at the start of the year every member, and that money just solely goes to their club. I know it's really expensive, but it's something that is quite hard to deal with because the uni's obviously got limited funding, so it can't all go towards people that do sport. But I'd say the price of the gym, I mean, all students get a discount, and I think this year was only £91 for the membership. And if you think, if you weren't a student at Strathclyde, you go somewhere else, pay a gym membership, it's extortionate. You pay even double that some places, it's ridiculous. So I think the students are actually getting quite a fair deal on what they're getting money-wise. But obviously it can look to be improved, but it all just depends on the budgets at the uni. But overall I'd say, in comparison to other unis, I'm not entirely sure what they pay, but I think it would be much of a muchness with Strathclyde. But for gym fees, etc., I think the £91 is amazing. If you are, say, training for rowing and you're meant to be in the gym 5 times a week, if it's going to cost you £3.80 a turn and you're going 5 times a week, or you can buy your membership, you think of how many times you can get in for that cost. I think it's actually quite a good price.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with Mary on that in terms of what I know from other sporting institutions. Our sports union memberships amongst the cheapest, and similar with the gym facilities as well. One of the things I'm really keen on doing, I had to kind of rush through at the end of my speech there, was increasing the funding coming into the sports union to try and make sport more accessible. That wouldn't mean reducing the cost of sports union memberships. What it would mean is by being a part of the sports union, by paying for your sports union membership, it makes sport more accessible in terms of going down to Bucks Championships down in Sheffield, or going on away days, or needing more transport, or needing more facility hire, which is obviously a really expensive component of university sport. I think one of the things that we need to probably publicise more is actually the savings that students are making by doing sport at university. If you look at club affiliation fees, for example, our hockey team affiliate with Scottish Hockey, and there's individual registration fees that each player would have to pay if they were part of an external club. That gets covered by the sports union. And I think there's a lot of people think, oh, I pay my membership for the sports union, but they don't actually realise what they're getting out of it. They're getting affiliation fees, they're getting transport, event funding, accommodation allowance, kind of all the things that go on behind the scenes. If you were to totally strip that away, and if you were part of an external club out with the university, then your costs would definitely be prohibitive from doing sport at uni. So So it might more be a case of really publicising what we do, and then trying to use every opportunity to bring more revenue in.
So collaboration question again. What do you do to increase link between the clubs and societies clubs and the sports union clubs?
So,
yeah.
I think increased collaboration is definitely a good thing, and it's something that we can look to do. I think things like Rock Up Sports Club is something that we do try to appeal to those that are interested in getting involved, and but may for some reason see a barrier to entry to sport, whether that's they don't feel that they're good enough financially, that they feel that it might be too expensive. I don't know, but by being able to collaborate with clubs and societies to be able to get people that might be involved with one aspect of it and bring them into Rock Up Sports Club is something that I think we did do quite successfully. And I know that Josh did a lot of work this year in terms of actually promoting Rock Up Sports Club out to clubs and societies. But I think in terms of collaboration, it's finding joint projects, and that's got to come from an exec level in terms of working with the VPSW, working with the VPDA, or the VPSW working with the VPA to try and identify new opportunities that can come from collaboration with clubs and societies. At the moment, there might not necessarily be that much, but obviously by working closely with the other representatives on the exec, you're likely to find new projects that will engage a greater number of students.
I think the collaboration of the sports with the clubs and societies is something that should really be promoted. I mean, there's so many clubs and societies and there's so many sports teams. The way to get them together is just through promotion. I mean, if you think about it, we've got the Photography Society, and then you've got people away on like surfing trips and wakeboarding trips, and they're always taking pictures, but I mean, why don't they come together and do that together? And that's a way of a collaboration coming together. I mean, I think by increasing a collaboration, it would get more people involved. I mean, we might even get more sports memberships if people are collaborating from clubs and societies and with people from sports. I mean, there is a lot of links between them. I think people just aren't aware of them. So a good thing to do would be making, say, the sporting people more aware of what the clubs and societies are, and by making the clubs and societies more aware of what the sporting side things are doing. So that if people are aware of these, they'll be more likely to talk to each other and collaborate.
Now, for international students coming over, they can't always bring their equipment with them. So would you guys consider semester-long loans for international students, things such as hockey sticks, badminton rackets, cricket bats, things like that?
Is me?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of clubs actually have like a supply of this kind of thing for, well, not just these kind of students, but international students, but I think for all students, recreational students. I feel like everybody has a sort of base. I know maybe for the likes of skiing, etc., that's not the same, because most people that are going in the ski club have their own skis. But I'd say for other clubs, like for my club, Question, we're going out with the sporting facilities here, and people go to join in and everything is there for them. So if you wanted to join in, there's absolutely no problem. And I feel like with sports here, like say if you were going to do rowing, you're coming down to do it, all you need is your trackies, a top, and they've got a boat for you. So you don't need anything. And a lot of things that are gym based, all you need to do is go along to the gym. So I think it needs to be promoted more that you don't have to have all your own things to be involved in any of the sports clubs, because they do cater for all. And I think another thing is, if you're unsure about what clubs can supply, I mean, just send them an email. I've had many emails asking me, I don't have riding boots, but there's so many of us in the club, we can just lend out our stuff if people are looking for them. Because it'd probably be quite a lot for the club just to keep a supply aside for international students that can't manage to bring their things over. But I do feel like people within the club would be more than happy to loan out their own stuff to other people, as long as they get it back, so they can have a chance to join in with everything.
Yeah, I'd say, kind of on a similar note, the majority of our clubs do have at least a basic form of equipment that people can use. All you need is a pair of trainers, a shorts and a t-shirt, and you can rock up and do it essentially. But maybe, the reason that this question's come is due to the increased numbers that are coming. Obviously, the university is doing a huge push in its international program, bringing in more international students, more Brazilian students, for example, this year. And maybe this is just being passed on to the clubs, and equipment as a result is being strained. to that, I'd say, you know, it might be a case that we better publicise the equipment fund that we've got in the sports union. Every year we have an equipment fund of £10,000 that gets given out to clubs. It's the property of the clubs, and this is exactly what it's there for. It's for clubs to have its own sort of, be it basic level or, you know, intermediate level equipment there for people to use, and so that people don't feel like they have a barrier to entry. They can't enter the archery team because they don't have a bow. That's all meant to be there for them. And I guess if it is strained, if there are too many members for equipment, then there is that fund there. It's probably a case of publicising a bit better and just making sure that club captains, when they see their clubs are getting busier, is that, you know, that they're proactively going to apply to the equipment fund for more money.
How important do you think consistency is for leadership within the association? James?
Obviously, this is the first time that any candidate in the VPSW role has run for 2 years, but I think it is long overdue. I think there are huge benefits to be gained from consistency, being able to build on the successes of year one, but then also look towards achieving things over the summer period where, you know, where last year I was learning the ropes of the job, this year I can get right down to the you know, working down on development of clubs, team performance, working with the exec, working with all elements of the sports. You need to have a real plan in place for next year. But I think there are some dangers with the continuity, but I want to make sure that if I were lucky enough to be re-elected, that after 2 years it's easy enough to then pass it on to someone going into their first year. You wouldn't want to be passing over a 2-year project onto someone that's expected to come in at year 3. But no, I do think there's huge gains coming from continuity, and I'd love to be here for a second year.
I think continuity is a key thing, but from the start of the sports union, it's always been someone different that's come in each year, and they've managed to continue on the job. So I don't see the problem with there being a bit of change. I mean, I'm on the sports exec just now, so I know what's going on in the sports union and what the plans are. So I can continue these on next year. But I just feel that I could put a bit of a fresh perspective on it, so a new set of eyes to look at the projects that are going on to see how we can change it. So yeah, continuity is key, but I feel even if someone new is elected into the position, I could still keep the continuity, but also put a bit of a fresh spin on it as well. So you get a bit of best of both worlds.
Now, what would you do about access to the Royal College gym on Saturdays?
Is that me? I think access to the Royal College gym is more not something that I right now could do, because I'm not entirely clued up on the Royal College gym, but from what I know of it, it is more to do with the people who run the gym and the CSR. So I think it would more have to be in spokes with them about how to get further access to the gym. I know there's been a lot of problems with people blocking doors open and not being able to get access due to different things, but I feel like that's something that would need to be taken up with someone a little bit higher up than me, because I don't think I'd have control over who gets to access the gym, where and when. And it's more up to like the trust that the people have with the club captains. So if they can gain more trust with them, they might be more likely to give them more access to these areas when they're maybe not meant to be in them.
With regards to access to the Royal College gym on weekends, the university have made a few changes in the last couple of weeks actually with regards to access doors. So this is something that is actually quite achievable in terms of getting in on weekends. It just depends on, you know, whether the university are on board with having, essentially the problem has kind of arose from the building not being able to be open at weekends because it would require having a security guard. Now they have, they've reinstalled locks on the doors, so now it should be relatively easily accessible, and it's something that, you know, if I was re-elected, I'm sure it'll happen before then, I'm sure it'll happen within the next kind of month or two, that they will be allowing access on weekends, but so I think it's kind of something that's definitely going to be happening pretty soon.
And finally, I think the problem with some of the larger clubs is that maybe guys who aren't so good struggle to get game time. What would you do about that?
Was there any clubs in particular, or is it just larger clubs in general?
Larger clubs like football and rugby.
I think it depends game time. Obviously, clubs that are growing, and this is one of the problems, it's a good problem to have with a growing membership, but it's a problem nonetheless of being able to try and give opportunities to compete. What I probably do with larger clubs that are growing larger in size is speak to them, give them the opportunities to join national leagues, say on Saturdays. So that say if you've got your Bucks activity on a Wednesday and then you've got opportunities to compete on Saturdays and there's the demand for that, that gets a lot more people game time. It also helps you reach out to your graduates and your alumni a lot more because you're not tied by the Bucks regulations. So I'd probably say that definitely looking at establishing an extra team on a Saturday, might even be entering a new team into Bucks, but that's something that obviously has to happen pretty early on, and it would be happening in the next kind of couple of months moving to next year. So I'd probably say if it's something that were to happen midway through next year, it's a case of looking at national leagues on weekends and being able to try and promote those opportunities as much as possible.
I would say it all depends on kind of the level of the ability of the people that are wanting to come in and compete as well. Because obviously the bigger teams, they have 4 teams, and if you're doing football, that's a lot of people per team. And if people aren't getting enough game time, maybe something to do is, if you can't get your other team entered into Bucks, another thing would be to do is make good relations with other teams at other universities. So if you've got, say, 3 football teams, but you've got enough people that want to play for a 4th team, but you can't get them into Bucks, why not make them just go and play a game against, say, Cali's voters? I don't know, if Cali have a bunch of people that aren't able to compete either, then you could just get them competing against them as more of a friendly match. So people will still be getting game time if they're not able to enter into the Bucks leagues. I mean, I think it would just be a thing of making connections with other universities and maybe even other larger clubs. It doesn't have to be university clubs, other, say, rugby and football clubs around the Glasgow area, getting in contact with them and asking if you can maybe just have a friendly game with them, or even seeing if you can go onto one of their teams if you're wanting to get more game time. If you're only getting to, say, have 1 game a week, you could play with another football team on a Saturday at the weekend. Be something like that, maybe trying to have connections with different clubs so you can get more time as well if you're not getting enough on the field at uni.
Now finally, candidates for president. Zara, you're first. You've got 3 minutes.
Just going to stand here, is that okay? Hi everyone, my name is Zara Mohammed and I'm running for president of the Students' Union this year. I'd actually like to begin with 2 stories, both relating to my campaigning experience so far, and they'll actually interact with my short manifesto later. So the first is, today I went into a lectureship to a department that will not be named, and I stood in front and I pitched the employability and strong president and all the rest of it. And the funniest thing was, the lecturer didn't turn up. And we had a good, strong 150 students sitting there waiting. That's story number 1. Story number 2 is I've been going around campus and I've been making it a habit to speak to people that really aren't engaging with the Students' Union. And across the board, even as volunteering and volunteer week, when we're all standing there surveying, are you volunteering, are you getting involved in the union? I don't know what the Students' Union is. I don't know, I've never really been there. I don't know what it can do for me. I don't really vote. I don't know if I should vote. So already we've stumbled across 2 key problems: communication and interest. Because when we were doing those surveys for Volunteer Week, people were like, well, I'm in my 4th year now and I really regret that I didn't volunteer. Or I really don't know what's going on. So my 3 key aims on my manifesto are engage, support and lead. Engage, there are 22,000 students on campus across 27 departments of the 4 faculties that exist. 3,000 of those students voted for this election last year. We're now aiming for a higher turnout. If this is the demographic that we're talking about, then can we really say as a Students' Union we're engaging with students across the board? Secondly, support. There are some fantastic supporting facilities available within the university and within the Students' Union. We shouldn't criticise the Students' Union because they are doing a fantastic job. I myself have actually brought people from the Masters programme. I should say I'm doing my Masters in Human Rights Law. And I've actually brought them and I was like, don't you know about the Students' Union, level 5? They can help you with your
application, they can help you with, you know, deferring for a year, they can help you if you're having trouble with your lecturer. And then lead. Lead is really about having clear communication. It's about us having a very strong voice to the university, because if we are not engaging with those 22,000 students, and I'm not saying it's possible to meet 22,000 students and engage with them all, but I'm saying that we as students, we pretty much have a common journey, and then we have some exceptional cases. But every single student deserves a voice, and every single student wants to be engaged with. So lead means communicating, and it's about having a strong presence with the university. And now I can talk a little bit about my experience. I've actually been very privileged from about first to second year to always have had an executive role in a committee or a leadership role. And one of the societies that I'm working in right now as deputy president is SUMSA. SUMSA has over 200 members, and we represent students across the world. From every department, PhD, masters, undergraduate, from all countries, all languages, all genders. And what that's provided me with is a really representative role, and working hard with the university, working hard with people within the university to push for change. So my time is up, and thank you very much for listening. I hope you vote for me.
Alright, thanks. I'm Gary, I'm running for president. I'm wanting to campaign to improve financial support for students. I want to campaign to get more paid opportunities for students. I want to campaign to make sure that everyone has a great uni experience. We're always told that that uni is supposed to be the best experience of our life, but for a lot of students that's actually not the case. Many students are actually left behind. Whether it's rising living costs, whether it's a lack of help or support, whether it's not being able to do that internship because you have to work all night to pay for your rent, or whether it's just living in like poor accommodation. I think that the union should be doing more around support. I think we've done some great stuff around support, but I think there needs to be more of a priority in the future. We need more support for students, more opportunities for students to make sure that everyone's got a great uni experience. For me, I think like I'm really passionate about education. I'm passionate about students. I'm passionate about making changes. For me, like I think there's so much stuff that we can do. There's so much stuff we can do to help students. But finally, basically, I just think that I want to finish just to say that I think that sorry, I'm a little bit stumbled here. Yeah, basically, just like I just want to campaign to improve sport, improve opportunities, improve uni experience. Cheers.
Thanks. Got a few questions for you guys as well. Okay, how would candidates with clear political views make sure they remain impartial while in office? And Gary, do you want to go first with them?
Alright, yeah, so basically like I'm quite involved in a lot of stuff to do with the union at the moment. Like with me as the vice chair for the External Engagement Forum, I've been campaigning to promote independence debates, to get more people involved so that we're not just passive in politics, but students are engaging with the debate outside our campus. As a rep, like it's my duty to be impartial so that I'm representing students and that I'm not representing my personal view. This is something that I've done throughout most of the roles that I've done over the years. It's something that I'll continue to do because we're here to represent students. We're not here to put words in their mouth.
I actually don't see the problem there. I don't see the problem. I think that as a student representative, you should be neutral. And I think, yes, definitely engage with what people have to say. Definitely let there be an open, clear debate so that you can hear all sides. But if you're elected as a representative, then you have to be representative of everyone's views, and that does mean taking a neutral position and not having underlying motivations or self-interested goals.
How important do you see working to get a new sports facility as a priority for the association? And how will you work with the VPSW and Niall Stark, I think, who's worked in CSR, to make progress with this?
We've actually faced a very similar issue with SUMSA as well, in terms of having an exit strategy in 2017, but no building to go to. And I've actually spoken to estates quite a lot, especially Eleanor McGuinness, and I've actually spoken to CSR as well. So I think working with the University Estates Department, pushing it on the agenda, reprioritising it is on my manifesto, and I definitely agree. We need to push harder the university and make them understand just how important these facilities are in the long term and how much they'll benefit students and also attract new students to come into our university.
like sports is a big issue at Strathclyde. Like, we're a good sporting university as well as all the other amazing stuff that we do. It's not just around sports. I think there's actually an issue with just all societies and clubs that are people that are looking for space on campus, looking for space within the union. There's definitely, we need to be doing a lot more work to make sure that people have actually got the opportunities to get engaged with the union and get the space that they need to do the events and stuff that they want to do.
Another sports segment. How would you liaise with the union and the VPFW to ensure sport is not overlooked? The sport as a whole, rather than just the sports building, is not overlooked during the year in charge. So, Gav, can you take this one first?
Yep. Again, like, I think sports is a big issue at Strathclyde. There's a lot of time that there's an argument that gets put around it. Sports people don't really get involved in like politics or whatever, or involved in student associations. But if you look at this year, you've got the Commonwealth Games, for example, and there's been cross work with the president and with the VPS. There's always going to be stuff that basically where there needs to be work together. I'd be happy to work with all the exec team to make sure that everyone's basically getting a chance to do what they need for students.
I can actually really relate to the question because on my campaign journey I visited quite a few sports clubs, and my favourite has to be, unbiased opinion here, archery, because I actually had the chance to do a bit of archery as well. And I have to say, I didn't know that this club was really, existed, or it was really there. And I think it would, so many more people, I hope, after my video that I uploaded will go and do archery. It's fantastic, and I think that working alongside the VPSW, excellent VPSW, is a great opportunity. It's always about information exchange. It's about letting people know what exists and showcasing it in the right way and encouraging more people to get involved.
Now, what do you two think is the single most important aspect that needs addressing as president, and how do you go about resolving that? So, sorry, we'll take this one first.
I think the single most important aspect of student union president has to be engaging with students. There's plenty of issues that Gary's mentioned that I would completely agree with. So many issues in terms of funding or housing or academic studies or exams. All of these issues relate to engagement. We as a student union, and I like the term that Claire used, need to be approachable, we need to be engaging, and we need to be supportive. So once we've actually engaged them, and quite simply that means talking to students, inviting them to our events, assessing whether they're not getting involved, and if they're not getting involved, finding a new medium. My Society, we created a YouTube channel this year so that if you couldn't physically come to the club, you could still be part of it. So I think engaging with students in any capacity that we can do, identifying their needs, and then supporting them with the best resources that we have.
Yeah, again, it goes back to what I'm saying. I think it's about the student experience. It's about making sure that everyone's got a great union experience. Last night I was up in the halls in the block that I live in, Andrew Ure. Some of the standard of accommodation that we've seen was shocking. We went into a student's flat who had a toilet, moved out of his bathroom and moved into the hallway. It's still there for 3 weeks. This guy, this guy doesn't know who to speak to. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what the union's doing around support or around halls or anything like that. So when I came up, I basically talked to him about the things that I think that we can do to improve student support, the things I think we can do to make sure that everyone is getting good accommodation standard for the expensive costs that they're paying, that everyone's getting the same opportunities, everyone's getting a fair shot.
This one specifically asks you to be blunt. Where is the university failing students, and are you comfortable challenging these issues when you will naturally face a large amount of resistance? So, Gary, can you take this one first?
I don't want to keep blabbering on about the student experience, but for me that is the big issue. Like the situation with the halls that we find with Andrew Ure, particularly a lot of people that international students are getting put into these halls where the standard is frankly slummish. Some of the stuff that we've seen from, even in my own room, I've got moss growing on the walls, and the issue is not that the university doesn't know about it, it's that they do know about it, but they're just content to just let it continue. What we need to do is actually stand up and say that we need better standard of accommodation for students, we need better support available for students. If you compare what Strathclyde does to other universities, they're definitely dropping in those areas, so I'd be happy to stand up and fight for it.
assessment and feedback is very, very much varied across the department, and assessment and feedback comes under exam timetabling and exam bunching because all of these issues can be brought together. I think me as a master's student, I faced where I didn't get my marks back for a semester. So at master's level, you can't really have that. I think definitely the university needs to have a more consistent strategy across the board, where we don't just have some students who get feedback quickly, and obviously there's various reasons for it. And I think that standing up for student issues, I mean, I think the university appreciates that we do that, and as long as we do it in a way that's truly expressive of our students and not of our political opinions or how we feel, and not emotive, then we'll get the job done quickly and efficiently.
Now, the presidential remit's got quite a lot of different responsibilities within it. How would you prioritise those responsibilities? So, Zara, can you go first?
I think engaging with students and asking them what they thought about the union and how they felt. I really understood that the presidential role is actually so expansive, and I think that you prioritise based on. I don't think you can really prioritise saying, well, this is the only thing that we're going to concentrate. I think you have to be as fair as you can. The most immediate issues will be the ones that you'll deal with, but you'll always try and spread yourself out so that there's strong support across the board. You'll delegate and manage, and you'll work as part of a team. You're not a lone soldier in it. That's the whole point of the exec, that we all work together.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's a lot of work that, like, the president has to do, but I think there's a lot of work that all the subs have to do, and you know, everyone seems to do, like, a really great job of it. For me personally, like, all the volunteering that I do on top of my studies, like, I'm prioritising that, and even just now, like, being a candidate for an election, I have to make priorities, I have to campaign on different issues. In terms of what I prioritise as president, again, like, I think it's prioritising issues that are really affecting students. Things like when that toilet's been dragged out of someone's bathroom for 3 weeks, like, that is a priority for me, and it's something that I want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on.
What do you plan to do to improve the union services? So that's actually like the cafes and bars and stuff. So Gary, do you want to go first?
Yeah, again, like, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the yard opening. For me, I'd like to see how the new ale comes in. Apart from that, you know, I think we should, being on the trustee board, like, have an opportunity to see how we work out on the financial side of things. It's obvious that not just Strathclyde, but student union bars as a whole, business is dropping, and that means that we've got less money to spend on students. So trying to get more people in the door is important. There's been a lot of great work that's been done this year and the year before, and I think it would be important to see how that goes and where we can learn from there.
I actually really like the way that the union has been improving its food and catering services across the board. I think we're actually moving in the right direction, and I think students are coming here more. I mean, I was here campaigning yesterday, and the scene was completely full. There was not a table or a seat remaining. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think again, it's just engaging with students, finding out what they like, what they don't like, and also keeping a pace with other universities and how they're progressing, and making sure that we're ensuring that we've got the best facilities, the best food, and we're meeting all dietary requirements, and being inclusive as students as possible, and making sure that there's lots of space. So that's all for me.
How would you try and improve access for disadvantaged students? So I can go first on this one.
I think access across the university is pretty poor. We're still really, really lagging behind. Is that just in terms of the union or in terms of the wider university?
I don't know, I read it as.
So I think it means across the university, particularly because I know the union has invested in making sure that we're much more accessible. I think some of the buildings it's just not possible, especially for disabled students, to enter. And again, that just means taking the university to the table and saying, look, we're supposed to be technological university, we're supposed to be leading university in the UK. Why are we not able to get access to students across the board? So it's just engaging with the university and pushing hard on these issues.
Yeah, for me, I think actually Strathclyde does quite a lot of decent stuff around access. In terms of like mature students, we've got one of the largest populations of mature students in Scotland. One of the issues though is just getting them in the door isn't enough. There actually needs to be that safety net behind them, because if there isn't, as soon as there's an issue, say for example over the summer, if you can't get a job, you don't have any SAS, you can't sign on, the only option that's prepared for you there is basically for you to leave uni or find some way to forage your way through 4 months. Like, that's basically not acceptable. There's a whole massive issue about getting support in place for people that come from disadvantaged backgrounds.
And finally, as president, would you be a good representative of all students on campus? So Gareth, want to take this one first?
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Christian Union actually earlier on, just before I came here, and one of the things that I thought was quite interesting was that they said that nobody had come to speak to them for 3 years. I mean, like that seems pretty unacceptable to me, really. I've been involved somewhat as a class rep, but I've not really, you know, I've not been in SAB, so I've not really been out and about as much. But I've engaged with a lot of groups on campus, and I think a lot of people feel that, particularly like mature students, for example, that people come down during the election and they'll give them promises, they'll chat to them, but then they won't be seen after it. So me, I think like it's really important that we are actually engaging with students, that we're going out, we're finding on the ground what people are thinking, what the issues are, like the toilets, the issues with the flats, that we're actually engaging with people directly and finding out what's wrong and then sorting it.
I actually have to say that I've had, now being a master's student, I've actually experienced the undergraduate student life, I've experienced postgraduate student life, and then also being part of SUMSA, I've experienced voices of students across campus, across the world, from international to undergraduate to home students. So I'd actually say to have a fantastic wealth of knowledge in ensuring that we're being as inclusive as possible, engaging with different students, and being representative of them, which has been my entire campaign actually.
Thank you, guys. Okay. Thanks to all the candidates for coming tonight. I know some of you might be hard to stand up and give speeches. Best of luck in the week ahead. Hope to see you all on Friday. Thanks for coming, and thanks to Strat TV for filming for us. I think it should be available online.
Thank you.